All right, let's get into the overlay of time so you understand the beast man and the firmament, the money, and the dawn of time, as he's the dawn of America, and he's on his second coming, and he's coming to set up America in another way. And that woman of promise is given a barren womb. So let's connect these little things so no man is left behind. All right, and the beast will be left behind because they're already penned up and away. The auto pen for the Biden and such, that's just like a robotic door, that robotic arm to close the gate. Okay? And it's that solar powered, wireless device. And who's your vice? That JD or the DJ. And the DJ is the Don John, and then the JD is the JD Vance. All right? Either way. So day 2, 48 on Elvis being dead. Zelensky turns 48 on 1/25 for a Christmas spirit tie-in, and then 25 on that. 9/11 is the year after, so or in 2026 when he turns 25. So all these things are connecting to the sky on day 2, and the golden dome connects to the firmament to divide the waters, and that's one way. And then you have the phone screen, that's also going to be a firmament to divide the waters, and that's where you have like your cryptocurrencies or not. And then the crypto is where the dead rise in one way from the crypt, and then you have the dead rising through the beastman and the carnal church and those types at the lower chakra rising from the crypt on the other side. So these things are here and there interweaving. Okay, so this is where you're having the birth of Jesus and Satan kind of at the same time. And going back to the light bulb, we can get to day 9 in one spectrum. And the 9 is the flip side on the 6. And that ties you into the day 6 when God rested. And that's where your God, your begotten Son, is coming to rest. And the Lord God comes to gather as your Lord is killed in Sodom, the grieve us sin, and all those things overcome each person. Okay, so this is where we're given a new heaven and an earth, and it's breaking open. These things are interwoven, and that revelation is within each person coming upon it. And this is the time frame, though, where these things are happening on the world stage in one way, shape, or form to take all from one to the other. Okay, but as it's already been done, and that light's been given, you ate the forbidden fruit and whatever else, 80-20 rule, 20-80, 60-40, all these little proportions are all going to play a role as that temple is rocked by that nucleic acid that's been taken, and that ribbon that's been wrapped around the neck, and all those little things. The 9 is also the 216 and hours on the days for the 24. So that 216, that's 666 times, and that's where we're at now. So when you go through the clock, we're at a very particular time where all these days are overlapping, and this is where we see all this thing where the clock in the sky, everything is getting all intermingled and changed and whatever from now till the next 20 years. And the sweet spot for all these things to collapse and to unfold for the great tribulation is from now, 23 on 9/11, to the 2030. Those time frames is 7 years, and it's 2032. But that's where like those taken up to the high spot, and then it's working the body. Those taken up, they share the thing, and then it gathers the body, all right? And then that body is taken into the new heaven and earth while the old is left, all right? That's kind of what's been going on since the so-called 2020 vision. in one way. But since then, since the millennium, the body and temple has been rebuilding and such, and those of us who have been rebuilding it and restructuring it in a way from the time frame what we were given as a child, or how society is going, we've read this, that, and the other, we put together this, that, and the other, we've come out of that, and we're trying to do this way and whatever, and that's where we're in like this hell now, because we're in like some pen in a way, because we can't go out there and eat, and everything out there is contaminated. Everybody's drinking this and that and the other. It's everything but water, or the original coffee, tea, or whatever thing is going on, okay? But and then you're not even drinking coffee, you're putting half of it with milk or sugar or whatever else. So there's all kinds of different like layers and goods and bads or whatever intermingled into us, okay? So when you get to the basics, then you get rid of the sick. If you get away from the basics, then you're gonna get the sick, okay? So your body's just downloading, you're like over downloading your system, and your body's like, whoa dude, you gotta back up, dude. You gotta quit eating, or you gotta quit listening to this music, or you gotta quit drinking this whatever, okay? But that's where it's been, this different tests, and now that light's been there. Now the Lord God has to come in into the garden and gather the Adams and the Eves and such who don't have access to the tree and all those, and he has to give them those things and bring them up out of there into the new heaven and earth. So, and then some of them are already, when you track these things back to the light bulb and such, that light that was given for the Genesis and such, so these are overlaying, but that light was given, and then day 7 came, and then you're in the day 9 in one aspect, okay? So as these things are intermingled, this is where the seams in reality come together, and there is no beginning, there is no end, and it just keeps going. And that millennial reign of Jesus would be kind of that time frame where the Satan or the Jesus comes in and rules that nation for a little bit to reset their mind and to reset God and all those things. And then you see Satan coming in and ruling again, which is where we were. Okay, so this is where in 2000, the millennial, the Jesus started coming in and it started working this thing. We saw 9/11 Patriot Act, Real ID, all these things, and then they're manifesting. So that age of Jesus, that controlling all mechanism, that one world empire, that one hive mind, that one consciousness, AI gathering up everybody's consciousness, the return of Christ, all those things are there as far as the invisible to the visible, and then that is what resets the consciousness of man on a world stage level. And as these things happen, the physical, the invisible, the God behind the projection is shown in one way, shape, or form. And right now we have the things being sprayed from the sky, so everyone of the lower chakra can experience the higher chakra by being shown the so-called blue beam event, or the aliens, or New Jerusalem, and those types of things. So the New Jerusalem could come down physically as a cube or whatever we're shown, those kinds of things, or like the old pyramid or whatever, and then it starts there, or like in Mecca they got the cube or whatever. These things can kind of come down and then go back up, and it changes form depending what age you're in and whatever else, and then they build something to mimic and mirror that energy or whatever. So that's where the pyramids or whatever could have been connected to a wireless grid back then, or they set up the grid or those types of things, because that age of man experienced that coming down. So anyways, we see all these things kind of going, and then the electric and the bulb and all that, and realizing we're these bulbs and this light and whatever. So this is where we're going from here. We're just a filament that we're or whatever. The light inside of us is the filament, and this is just the bulb that cracks and breaks, and you go get a new bulb or whatever, you get plugged back in. So this is kind of where that consciousness we're doing outlets so people can plug back in and get whatever, and it's only for the eyes and ears to gather. And we also have to understand that the people who've had their RNA and such tampered with, that's the messenger for the DNA, which is the light. So they might just barely have a flicker. All right, so each one of those probably takes out a candlestick in one way. And you're only given so many candlesticks. So the Zelens, I'm going to end it here and do a part 2 just because of time.